Alrighty. All right. So just in case, if I should need it, I'll request remote. There
Okay,
we
so let me give you, I sent you some other information, and what
Yep.
happened is my client had a subdivision in here, and the state is redoing 340, which is over here,
All right.
turning it into a four-lane road. And they've come through the middle of his subdivision here with the big swath. And I have been hired to figure out what's left and to try to do boundary line adjustments to get as many lots as he can get out of it.
Okay.
Uh, and let me get another drawing up here. Let me drag it over to the other side so you can see it. Okay, here's where we are. And I was able to get from you can see down here that I got this
Yeah.
information from the state. They actually gave me their control information.
Yeah, I can't see whatever you just dragged. I saw the frame start to come over when you dragged it, but I can't see it. And there's
Now,
the frame. And now it
still,
goes away. Try
still
if
can't see it.
no, when you shared your screen, did you share the whole screen or just the application?
Maybe just the application. How do I
All right.
fix it?
Well, stop your share. Let me turn off my remote control. All right, there you go. And now go back to share. And then when your choices come up, there's one that shows the entire screen and also shows open apps and stuff. Make sure you choose the screen.
Okay, you seeing it now?
Yes.
Okay, the state has very kindly given me their took me a long time to get them to do it, but they gave me their control information. So I have uh, state plane coordinates for these points.
Okay.
And if I go back to this page, I have state plane coordinates for this point, and I have a bearing. And from the station to the station, I have the beginning of this curve,
Okay.
which is a spiral.
Yep.
And if you look at the deed information that I gave you, I sent to you before, all of these property lines are shown based on radial distances from a certain distance from a certain station.
Okay.
So I need to be able to put this curve in
Uh-huh.
and uh, and then get you to teach me how to compute stationing on it. I would know how to do that with an ordinary curve, but I'm uncomfortable with spirals. I don't deal with them that much.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll make a centerline file or a couple of them, including the one that comes in off of 340 as well as this one. Is this? Is this that existing 340? So what? So they're shifting the whole center line over and going to take a bigger chunk right through his place,
They're,
right?
they're shifting everything over.
Yeah,
This is the center line of a four-lane highway, and this will just be a local service road.
gotcha. Okay. So yeah, so that'll be yeah, we'll just make those alignments, make sure they're in the right location, and then when you do that, there are tools in Carlson that you can just pick a point and it can read to you the station and offset. And you can also, compute distances radially from, from the center of the curve out to such and such. Although spiral technology, you can't, there's no center to a spiral because if you're, I don't know how familiar you are with spiral geometry, but spirals are basically they're little transition chunks that transition you from a straight tangent, which is essentially a curve with an infinite radius, and it transitions from that infinite radius linearly down to the radius that matches the curve that's in between the two spirals.
Okay,
And
so let me ask you a question then.
okay.
So, an example of a description from this deed from the highway, written by the highway department lawyers,
Hmm.
says thence northerly with said proposed controlled access right of way 333 feet more or less to a point 107 feet radially left of center line station 2043 plus 25. So how do you go radially left if there's no center?
Is it within the spiral portion?
Yeah, the whole curve is spiral, I think.
No, no, no. It goes spiral to, it goes tangent to spiral and then spiral to curve and then curve, and then PC to PT and then PT to spiral. So you've got a spiral that starts, yeah,
Okay.
zoom in on that right in there, on those words. Let me read those words a minute. You see, all right, so you see the TS
Yeah, that's tangent to
stands for
spiral,
tangent to spiral. So
and
that
that's spiral
goes
to curve.
correct. So
Okay.
so that's where the curve starts. Now from that point to the CS on the other end of it, that that point there, that SC point, that's your PC. And if you look at the next sheet, you should, or wherever that curve ends, you should see a CS and then an ST. Yeah, see, there's your CS and ST. So that CS is your PT. And then it goes to the tangent up at the ST part. So it goes tangent to spiral, spiral to curve, curve to spiral, spiral to tangent.
Okay,
So
so what I really need is
you
the
need that curve.
actual curve.
Yes. So all we got to do is we'll lay in the alignment that includes the spirals, and your curve will be in the right place. And then you can compute spiral or radial distances from the curve. Now you can't compute a radial distance that hits within the spiral because that's not a curve.
Okay, I don't need to.
Yeah.
My,
However,
my,
you can go to any point along the spiral and compute what the instantaneous radius is at that point based on the geometry, but that doesn't help you any on that for your deed calls. As long as your deed calls, what was the stationing left of station? What was it?
this particular one is 243 plus 25.
All right, so it's 243 within the curve.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, because right there you're at 245, 250, so it should be on the previous page. Oh, that's from GAI. Okay, good. Diane used to work for GAI.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you go to the previous sheet, not, yeah, go the other way. There you go. So yeah, so you're into the curve there at 35, 6, 7, 8, at 238-ish is where you start your curve. So you're well within the curve. So that's no problem at all.
Okay.
Okay. All we have to do is lay in the alignment. So
Yeah,
we'll
and my property doesn't come below much, well, it doesn't come up,
until you
doesn't
hit it
really
there.
go across this road. They took all of everything in here.
Yeah, so that road coming in, that was his existing on that other drawing you've got up. That's the road that's showing.
Yeah, now let me tell you something about so we don't have confusion here. This center line that I put in here is based on their state plane coordinates.
from
This,
from
I just
OT.
compiled all of the deeds. There were about four different subdivisions in here. I
Yeah.
compiled all of those deeds and I rotated them to this photograph. So they're on state plane, but I haven't shot anything yet to actually put them where they belong.
Yeah, you'll need to tie that down.
Right.
Because
So
right now,
for right now, I'm just worried about getting the state right of way in.
yeah, okay. So yeah, so what we'll do is we'll take those highway plans and we'll create that center line alignment. So you can actually do it within your other file if you want, or you can make a separate file either way. If you make a new file and just call it your centerline file, then you can reference that in, or you can do it within this one if you'd like. Depends on where you want to put it. So, um,
Well, I guess I'd like to have it in here. Is it going to be on a layer that I can turn on and off?
it can be, or like I said, you could do it in a separate file and just reference that file into this one.
How about if
Either
I
way,
created a separate sheet?
well, it doesn't matter the sheet part. You can do that part independently, but we got to get into the model to put these things on the ground where they're supposed to go. And that's
Okay.
fine. You can do that. I just didn't know if you had to keep this one as a separate file or if you want to give this one a new name for your working stuff or however you want to manage this is fine. Um, so yeah, let's go ahead and just keep it in this file for simplicity's sake, and we'll make that happen. Now, the other thing that you can do, what was the date of that right-of-way file that you from GAI? Is it relatively recent, it looks like?
It says revised 10/13/23.
Three, yeah. All right, so I mean, it's always possible that you could get in touch with GAI and have them send you all the geometry. You could have it send a drawing that includes it, and you could also have them send you the center line alignment, which would be the mathematical definition of that center line. But I don't know how, if that's going to be a real hassle and take them forever to do, because we can reconstruct this. It's no problem. So,
It was hard enough just to get this from them.
yeah, okay, then let's just rebuild it. So off we're going to go. Now, when you just sent me a picture of that file that you're looking at there. Is that a PDF?
Uh, no, it's actual paper drawing that I took a photograph of.
Oh, okay. So I mean, what are we looking at right now?
This is a PDF.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Is that I knew that yours was not a PDF that you sent me, but if you have this as a PDF, if you'll go ahead and send me that, I can look at it a little more directly.
Yeah.
Okay. And you can either email it, it'd be the easiest thing, or yeah, the thing you sent me a picture of was actually not that, but your property map, which is fine.
Okay, I just sent it.
All right, give it a minute to get here. There we go. Okay. There we go. All right. So there. All right. So we're looking at, looks like there's two. Yeah. So starting on page 5 and 6. All right. So what we have here, let's look at page 5. We've got a station. Uh, at 225.54. That shows that intersection. Where do we see, where do we have coordinates for any of this, or do we?
Yeah. You see down in the bottom left corner.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. The POB at station 50 at that, and then 55 for the POE. Now that is station 50. Oh, that's for the cross street. Of course, that'll give us, we can relate that. Do we have the same information for the center line of 340?
This is the center line of 340.
Well, what they're showing you in that table is for Route 21, the cross street.
Well, yeah, but there's an equal sign there.
That's what I'm saying. We can relate it to this if we need. Do we have though the coordinate information for 340, like on the different sheet, maybe? Like
No,
there it is up on sheet one. Yeah, see sheet one, we've got stationing and northing and easting for every one of those points along 340.
okay,
So that gives us all of that information, which we could do. We could rebuild this entire thing.
okay. I don't want to build the entire thing.
Right. So if we do this one, so we'll get a start point at this intersection point there. Okay, and that'll be at 225 plus 5450. That'll give us a place to start. And then we can either go at that bearing. See, that's the excuse me, that's the only issue I have is that you're bearing, you're going to have some potential round off in some of this stuff, but it shouldn't be enough to affect things too much. So you're going to proceed from this station and this point location. You're going to proceed at north 4745 east, a distance up to where the TS is. So that gives
Yes,
us that first tangent.
and
Okay.
I've already done that.
Okay. And then,
That's
all right.
what this is.
Yeah. All right. So let's freeze off your image layer right now just to get some speed and so we can see things. Okay. There we go. So now, so you started, let me request control here. So you started that 225.54.5, yeah, at that coordinate value from that table.
Right.
Okay.
And then I just traversed up to this point.
Yeah, now you've got, let's see. Whoops. Did you give me a remote? Did I get?
I did.
Oh, there we go. Finally came through. All right. So now, uh, all right. So we got that done. When did you just type this text in here or where did that come from?
Yes.
Okay.
I entered that coordinate.
Oh, as a description, I see.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to put, except I'm going to put it in the right spot. And I realize they're mathematically equivalent. I'm just getting them in their typical form. And this is, what is that? 0.20. All right, so there we go. All right, so we got those 2 points.
Wouldn't
Now,
hurt to inverse that distance to make sure I didn't make a mistake. I'd hate to start to
all
do this.
right, so that's what, 507 to 508.
Yeah.
4745. That's the right bearing. And distance is 1053.7, which should be see here. All right, 3608. 25, 54. So that's 1053.7, and we had 1053.7. So you're in good shape. All right, so now we've got this. Okay, now we need to go in there. And let's see, we need to put in the spiral and then the curve. And sometimes, let me see here, the curve. All right, let's see. I'm looking at all right, there it is. That little block of information all the way at the far end of sheet 5 at the alignment says US 342.49 plus 96.47. It shows a PI and a radius at that point. And then the degree of curve, blah, 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 blah. SC, CS, the LS in and out. So you got a 200-foot long spiral length. And it has a spiral eccentricity of 5%. So that's where yeah, so the way this works is you see that PI of 237.41.54 that's shown on the alignment. That's the PI from the tangent, between the tangent and the full curve that results. And then they use this spiral to simply transition from the end of the tangent to the beginning of the actual beginning of the curve. So that's how you compute that, is that you're going to come up here to this PI that's at 237 plus 41.54. And then you'll go toward that curve. And then you're going to take that 200-foot long spiral piece to connect them in between. So they're basically let's see, how would I?
For my purposes, could the spiral be ignored? Could I compute just the curve?
Mm, no, well, no, not really, because your stationing gets screwed up at that point. So what you would do is we're going to go up to this PI, and then when we go to the next sheet,
So you've got your own sheet to look at now, so I can
yeah,
move this to the
right,
other
yeah,
screen.
correct. So we go to the other sheet, and then we have a PI there. And then that should be PI to PI. This little short PI over here.
What sheet are you looking at now? I'm not actually seeing a sheet.
I'm on sheet 5, and then um, see, I'm looking at that PI that's in the spiral portion. So that's a PI of, yeah, if we were to take, see how to treat this. This is, that's going to become the PT, I think. Let me see. Then we come out to here. Yeah, so these little PIs that are indicated within the spiral portions. If you did not have spiral geometry, that would be where that big curve in the middle would actually join as a PC and a PT.
Yeah.
That particular case, you should be able to, uh, yeah, you could ignore the spirals and go from that PI as a PC to the other PI as a PT, and you fit that big curve in between. But then you got to come in here and change your spirals to go from that TS to SC, and then from the CS to ST on the other end. And so you replace that chunk with that continuously variable radius to go between the two. If you follow what I'm getting at,
Shouldn't there be a PI in here somewhere though for the conventional curve?
yeah, there is at 249, 96.47. You see it there. If you're looking on sheet 6, right below where that crossing street comes in, they're showing it there. PI is 249 plus 96.47. Right to the left of the Ripon Commons East block.
Ripon Commons East.
Right below station 250.
Okay, I see it.
Yeah, so that's your PI of the big curve out to the PIs of the tangent pieces. Okay. But you're going to shorten the curve and shorten the tangents on each end by 100 feet each. So you got a 200-foot spiral. It's not linearly 100 feet, it's along that spiral. And so that's going to shift your station numbers when you come on around that geometry. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create this tangent to the big curve to the tangent, and then we're going to insert the spirals at those spiral locations. Okay.
Okay.
So, so what we want to do, all right, so you've got that tangent there done up to that point of spiraling. So if we extend that to this PI of 237.4154, now that's stationing along the projected tangent. That's not along the spiral. Okay, then
What did you say that station was?
it's on sheet 5 all the way to the right side. It's 237 plus 41.54. But see, we should actually, what we'll do is we're going to extend your tangent all the way up to the PI of, well, no, that won't work. I was going to say we could take it all the way to the PI of the big curve and then chop it back, but that's not actually how this works. How spirals work, if you think about a normal curve, you're traveling along the straight line and then you go into a curve normally at a point of tangency or, the PC. But what it is that curve is constructed and then to ease the sharpness of the turn, which is granted not very sharp, to go from a straight tangent directly into the full curve, you're going to start very slightly turning and you turn more and more and more until you reach the full radius. And what that means is that big curve is going to slide inward toward its center a little bit. inward or outward? Yeah, inward toward its center. So that big curve, if you were to create that big curve as the way they have it computed here with the spiral, it's never going to be tangent to the two tangents approaching it. Okay, it's only going to be tangent to the spiral as the spiral ends. So it's going to be shifted slightly inward because you're taking your time to get turned to line up with a tangent direction. So your tangent direction doesn't actually begin fully tangent to that big curve until you get to that SC point.
Okay, let me ask you a question so I'm sure I understand. The PI stationing that I'm reading is not the same stationing that you read. I'm reading 249 plus 96.47.
That's the PI on the big giant curve. I was reading the PI on the little spiral portion.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. Okay. So, but again, that PI is a PI between this incoming tangent and the tangent that comes off of the curve at that SC point. Okay, so there's basically there's like a little curve in between.
Yeah,
The problem is it's not circular. See, it's a continuously changing from infinite to 2960.
yeah.
All right, so if we let's do this. Let me think about this a minute. If we do it in the centerline editor, if I go, all right, let's first of all, we're going to go to centerline. And we'll make a centerline file. And are we in the right folder up at the top?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to call this SR340. And we're going to select that it's going in the right direction. Okay. And so now the stationing where it begins is 225, 54.5. Oh, okay. So now we've done that. We've got that as a centerline file. Now, when I double click this, it puts me in the editor. Okay. So I'm going to now do this and I'm going to change the ending stationing. Let's see here. If I'm going to station 2, see right now it goes to 236.0820. But if I go to 237, 4154, 237, 4154. Hold stations update length. Now, when we do this and we come back to the screen, you'll see now it's jumped up here.
Yeah.
And if let's go ahead and get this labeled. Beep, 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 station. A centerline file. See if we can get that. All right, let me change some things here. I want to do this as perpendicular. Yeah, we'll leave the font alone. That's fine. Oh, there we go. And every 100 feet, 50 foot for intermediates. We want even and odd stationary rates previously. Okay, marker. What's that? I gotta climb back. Uh, okay. All right, and then finally, let's take off the plus 0.00 parts. I thought we said to do that. Let's see. Oh, remove zeros. I think. There we go. Okay, so now, so that gets us to 237. Yeah, see, that's a problem. When you do all those roundoffs, it screws up beginning and ending stations. Yeah, all right. So let's try one more time here. Let's just live with them. Let's say station precision. Maybe if we do it this way. No, it's going to give that, but it will at least give us all the information out there. Okay, so now we've got that PI for that. All right, so then if we put in at that point, the information for the big curve, make sure I do it right here. So if I double click this, all right, so I'm going to, if I add, all right, let me see. I think we can do this better now. Let's see if we do this. Let me fix this back to where we were. That was 236, 236.08.2. Hold the station, update the length. All right, so we'll pull this back. There we go. Now, let's come in here and we're going to add, so I'm going to choose this add button, and we're going to add a spiral at this point right here. So this spiral is going to have a length of 200 feet, okay? And it's going to go to the left, and the element at the spiral out is going to be a curve, and the curve radius at that spiral out is the 2960. Okay, that's the radius of the big curve. And then tangential to previous element, that's fine. We'll say okay. And now there's a spiral. And now let's add a curve. And that curve is going to be this radius of 2960. That may be all we need here. Let's see. The degree of curve is 156.08. Yeah, look at that. Computed it directly. And the delta, the length is 2259.96. 2259.96, which gives us a delta of 43.44, 43.2. Look at that. Everything's working out fine. Are you seeing the numbers in this box that I'm doing? And I'm looking at that block of curve information on the far right of sheet number 5.
Yeah, let me zoom in here. Okay, I can see it now.
Yeah, so you see how it's all computing exactly, everything's matching up, so we're in good shape, except I do need to go, it's curved to the left. All right, and so that should, everything should work. Everything should be fine. Say, okay, now there's your big curve. All right, so I'm going to go now to sheet 6. And at this point, we're going to put in another 200-foot spiral. So we're going to add a spiral, and it's going to go to the left. It's going to have a length 200 feet. And let's see, curve radius at the out, of course, is infinite. And we'll say, okay. So there's now that spiral, and let's do the remaining tangent. And let's take it up to station 270. Unless we have, let me get that other, yeah, there's our bearing. That's 8 minutes north, 8 minutes east. So we're going to now add, if I can get it to read my mouse click, there we go. We're going to add a line. Station 2, let's just go to 275. And now you see that bearing is 0.08. That's your 8 minutes. So everything's working out sweetly. Say okay, say okay. And there now is your alignment. We're going to save that and exit, and it will redraw. Well, Got a bit of a slow connection here. Let me see. All right, there we go. All right, so there now is your alignment. And you see there's your point of curve. Let's make sure we match everything up here. Two 380820. That's your basically your SC. Oh, let me see here. So there's your begin curve. There's your SC. There's your tangent to spiral. That's exactly right. Everything comes to here, and you come up here at this end, and let's match that, make sure we're in good shape with that. And we should come in here. Let's see, those are, I'm on sheet 6 on the right. I'm reading the CS and the STs. So I've got a CS of 2 in my drawing of 260, 68, 16 matches exactly. An ST of 262, 68, 16 matches exactly. Okay, so there you go. You're done with this alignment. Okay, and this is this is a center line. So if I were to you know, well, there's the spiral. You see the spiral portion?
Yeah.
That's the way the CAD system has to represent it, with all those little bitty segments all connected together, because it's representing, like I said, a curve of from this radius of 2960, starting there, and then it continuously expands out until it reaches infinite radius where it joins the tangent. That's the way spiral geometry works. Now, at any point, let's save this drawing, by the way. All right, at any point, you can calculate from your center line, let's see, label station and offset, for instance. And let's find a, let's see.
Let me give you this point at the beginning. Uh, Beginning at a point 116 feet radially left of station 239.79.
Okay. So if we want to compute that point at what do you say it was, 279 or 30?
239.79.
Okay, 239.79. Now you're along the curve at this point. So at 239.79. So if we do a point, I don't think there is let's
Wait a
see.
minute. Let me create a layer called boundary highway.
Okay.
Let me do that real quick.
I see you've learned the little trick of making a layer current, and then when you make a new layer, it inherits all of those qualities.
You taught me that little trick.
Oh, good.
So what should I call this? DOH 340 or Route 340?
Sure. How does West Virginia do their DOH field offices? Do they have, like, is the state divided into districts or regions or something?
Yes.
Hmm.
This district office is in Burlington. I have an interesting story to tell you. Maybe I've told you this story before. When I first started this job, I contacted the construction company.
Uh-huh.
Actually, my client contacted the construction company and told them what I was trying to do, and told them that there wasn't enough information in the deeds for me to be able to establish where the corners were, and
Uh-huh.
wanted to know if they could meet me out there and go over it with me. And they said, sure. So I met them out there. I met the superintendent of construction for the whole thing and his assistant and the surveyor. Now the two top guys wouldn't even make eye contact with me. It was really weird. They talked like I wasn't even there. And
Well,
the surveyor was really friendly. And when the two supervisors left, we exchanged stories and we knew the same surveyors. He used to work for a surveyor that I knew and was good friends with.
uh,
And he is doing all this stakeout by himself with a rover.
oh,
And
wow.
I asked him if he could give me some center line stationing coordinates, and he said, "No, you don't want them." And I said, "Really? Why not?" He said, "Well, let me tell you what's going on here." He said, "The highway department stationing is based on their real-time network." And I said, "Yeah, that's what I used to
Mhm.
establish it." He said, "Yeah, well, we didn't do that. We came off of some existing monuments and we set up our own coordinate system. And I'm about 7 feet different than what
Oh,
the horizontally from what the state is, and about a foot and a half vertically. So you don't want my center line coordinates."
hmm. Wow.
So how do
Okay.
you get things? So I said, "Well, how do you get things to match?" And he said, that's above my pay grade."
Okay. Well, I think your approach here will be able to establish these okay at least.
Well,
Uh,
at least I can show my due diligence. I relied on information provided to me by the state and what they
yep,
said in the deed that they wrote.
right. That is correct. Your interesting story about those other two guys not making eye contact, that's the old joke. Engineers are typically introverts, right? They're very sort of nerdy and introverted. And it says, how do you tell when you meet an extrovert engineer? And they say the answer is because he looks at your shoes when he's talking to you instead of his shoes. So at least he's coming part way. All right, now, so to establish this point, um, we don't have there's not in the draw locate point command a place down here that says draw based on station and offset. But there are some other places. I'm going to change your point default here for a minute, I think. Oh, it's a triangle. Okay, that's fine. All right, so if we go to center line and let's see, if you do an offset point entry. So what we want to do is we'll store and draw the point. Um, let me make sure our point number is correct. You want to start
500.
well,
Yeah, I got it right.
you're up to 509 is your next available. Is that okay? Or do you want
Yep,
to,
that's good.
okay. All right. So we're going to go back to center line and we're going to choose offset point entry. Okay. And so now that other one I was starting to show you is that you can take any one of these points and it will compute the station and offset even within the spiral portion. Okay, but we're going to create a point. So we're going to store and draw this point. And let's go ahead and label the station and offset, and we'll include that in our description. And we're going to define it by a centerline file. But so you can also use, let's say if you had a description that was so many feet along this line and off of that line, you can create that line as basically treat it as a center line, but you just basically say use this and it computes. So we're really just computing an offset, but we're going to take it from this center line file. So it reads the mathematics and um, computes where it's supposed to be. We'll do a manual entry. You could have a whole file of these set up with station and offset values, and it would plop all the points in. All right, so the offset prompt would be a single offset roadway curves. So we say okay. All right, so we'll be asked for the centerline file. There it is. And now it wants to know Down below, I'll let you type that in. The station was 239 something something. Did it have a
Enter. No,
did it have a decimal portion or is it
it does
just
not. It just says 239.79.
yep, so enter. And now it wants to know a distance and put a minus for left.
Description.
That's your POB or whatever you called it.
Yeah.
All right, say okay. Whoop. Now it's going to yeah, that's fine, but it's going to also include the station offset, okay?
Okay. Oh,
And
that's too much information.
well, you can change that. Just double click it. Or wait, hit enter
Oops.
sorry, hit enter to end. And see, there's another thing. You see that little tracking that was following your cursor there?
Yeah.
Uh,
So I
uh,
don't want that.
correct. Just press escape. You're in the or zoom into that. Is that
Well, I think maybe it created a point there.
all right? So 509 is there's your red one there. What is that?
I think it was telling me where that was.
Oh, okay. Just
But
delete.
it's delete.
Yeah. And look up there at your 509. Double click that. And you see all that description down there?
Yeah.
That's your green description, the green text that you see on the screen.
Yeah.
So if you don't want all that, you can just go after the one and drag see where it says one, then 239. You can select all that and hit delete. And also do that for the CRD file description if you want it out of there as well. Now include the one. There you go. And just hit delete and hit OK. All right, now that red text, I think is just text that shows you where it is.
Okay.
So you can select that or move it or do whatever you want to with it.
Okay.
You know, you could, what does it say in the properties? Your properties box is probably on the other screen. Does it say that that is text or something?
Uh, Not showing up on it's not nothing on the other screen.
All right, so your properties is not on. So let's do this. We'll right click and choose properties. There we go. All right, so see you've selected that and it says text, so it's just text. So you could, you know, you could include that there and even, you know, 279. We're gonna make that a space. That 116 feet. You know, that's just a little supplemental label
Okay.
that you could use for that. And I don't know if, yeah, I don't think they put a separate, yeah, they did not. That's just a point. That symbol is part of your point symbol. And that came out of your default settings for there. So there's now your POB. Now, is that supposed to line up with 240?
No, it's
Oh,
just
okay.
supposed to be on that line and it looks pretty daggone close.
Yeah, I think so. So now one thing you can do is you can compute where that is in terms of center line. You can compute, you can calculate the offset.
That's okay. I know I don't have that boundary in the right place yet.
Okay.
I've got to go out and locate the corners and do
All right.
some kind of adjustment there.
Yeah. So now let me see. You've got your, yeah, so there is a point. Oh, it's a wipeout. That's why I'm not seeing the point underneath it. So you could see where that point is. Let me let me change this symbol for a quick second. Let's just do that. So there you can see, so there's a slight offset. And again, you're in the wrong position, but
Right,
you're in the neighborhood. Okay.
right.
So now I can, you can leave that or you can set your symbol back or however you want to do it. All right. So that gives you that. Now, are you setting these points in so that you can take this and move it to the right place?
No, I'm going to go out and locate these. These are all
Ah,
corners in the
okay.
field. I'm going to go out and locate all of them
I got you.
and do some kind of, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. It depends on what I find and how it checks.
Yeah. Okay. All righty. Well, that looks good. And remember now, look at the centerline menu because you've got all of these different things you can.
Okay, well, let me do a couple more of those computations so that I feel comfortable with it.
Yep. Yep.
So I go to center line. I don't remember this.
Yeah. So when you do an offset point entry, that is where you enter a point based on station and offset. If
Okay,
you want,
offset point entry. That's what I
yeah,
want.
if you want to label where a point is in terms of its station and offset, that's a point that already exists, like
Yeah,
the end
no,
point of a
I want to
line.
create a point.
And then the other one says calculate offsets. That's a basically like labeling, but it just calculates where it is. So
So
now
I leave
look at
all this.
yeah, well, look at the top. You see where I've got checked on that include, it says label the station offsets. That's where the red text came from.
Yeah,
And it said include the station offset into the description. That was the part you edited out of the point. So if you don't want that to be included in the description, uncheck that.
that was in the red or that was in the green.
Right up here at these boxes. When it
These
says,
boxes.
yeah, where it says label the station and offsets, that was the red text that showed up.
Yeah, no, I want the red text.
All right, but if you don't want the green text to include the station and offset in the description, uncheck that box. There you go. And now just read your prompts at the bottom
So,
because it's going to ask you for a series of points. And so when you're done, you would hit enter to finish everything.
okay, 243. It's asking me for station.
Yeah. See down at the bottom? There you go. Remember, it's negative for left.
Okay, now actually I don't want anything there.
Or you just want to point or just, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So now it's placed it. You see where it came in and now go to, if you want to do some more, you just keep going. You see
yeah,
it.
I do want to do some more. I want to get comfortable with this.
Yep. So keep going at the command line. You're going to put in the next station. There you go. And then when you finish your last one, like at the command line, it tells you to enter to end, but you're not ending yet. So you're putting in the station. And if your offset is the same as the previous, you see it's in brackets, you can just hit enter, but that's fine. You can do it. You can type it over again. That's fine.
It'll never be the same, I don't think.
Well, that one was.
Wait a minute, then I did something wrong.
All right. So you can say cancel, I think.
Oh no, it was right. It was the same.
Just a different station, but the same offset. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, then got another one here.
So is that basically establishing the right of way?
Yes.
Okay.
Where is that one? Weird. Went in the other direction.
115, go, zoom out some more, maybe. What station was it?
It was, wonder if I made a mistake. It was 429.22, 249.22.
Oh, it's in there, it's in the middle, in between.
Okay.
See the one in the middle? And you see the station text?
Okay. Then this next one is 246.84. And this one is right. And 241.69. Two. And 240.29. Minus 62. And it says it goes from there to the point of beginning. Okay, and it looks like it does. Yeah, okay. I got it.
Yep. And if you're finished, you can hit enter.
Okay, now there's another one. Let me go through another one just to make sure I've got it.
Yep. All right.
So I go to center line.
And you might want to change your point symbols if you want to keep them separate as to what they do. It's up to you. And you do that in your point defaults before you do it. Doesn't matter. You can leave those as they are. I'm just saying you might want to visually do that to change so you know which points go with which set. Just an idea.
Could I change the color? Maybe.
Typically, it's going to inherit the color of the layer.
Okay, well, show me how to do it when we get there. So offset point entry, right?
Uh-huh.
And all that stays the same. And I pick that. Okay, then this is 246.79. 212. And it's the point of beginning. So I need to change the point before I did that, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
So do I
Well, you're in the middle of a command right now. You just hit enter to finish, and then you can change it.
and go to points?
Point default.
What do you recommend?
Well, I like using either a plus or an X so I can tell right where the center of the point is. It's up to you. And now that also, you see the layer for points? You see where it says, right now it says boundary, Route 340. So yeah, so that's fine. I think your other points might be on layer boundary though. I'm not sure. We'll take a look at it and see.
I'll bet you're right. I'll bet they are. Okay, so
Yeah,
now we go
just select one of them and see. Just select it and look at the properties. No, it's on layer boundary Route 340, so it's fine.
okay, then go to
Now
center
go back to
line.
that first one that's over on the right, that second POB, double click it and change your symbol. There you go. and right there, yeah, yeah. And now you're in points, so yeah, use your whichever one you chose, the X or the plus, or indicate. So there it is. So now you see the plus mark just
Yeah.
above the text. See, that's
Okay. Let me see where I was.
so you entered the POB. If you want to get the next ones in, then you're going to go back to the centerline menu, offset point entry. There you go. Yeah, everything's looking like you got a handle on it. So now,
Oops, not 248.7, 248.70,
there you go.
and 243, and 247.90, and 252. Then it goes from there to the point of beginning.
All right. When you're done, you just hit enter.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've got two more tracks. No, I've got 6 tracks to enter total.
Now, one thing you can do too with your point is you can change your layer. Like right now, these are all on boundary route 340.
Right.
That's fine. Um, but if you wanted, you could make a separate layer for each one and say boundary route 340 track one, boundary route 340 track two, that kind of stuff, and maybe even change the color of the layer so that they show up differently.
That's a
Or,
good idea.
yeah, I mean, or it doesn't matter. And if you do that, if you want to do it that way to separate those out, then I would once you get those layers made, then just go through here and like, pick this point and this point, all the ones that you did, and just up here in the properties, you would pull that down and change to whatever new layer you wanted to do it. And they've had a different color and all that kind of stuff, then you could visually see at a glance which ones go with which.
Okay.
All right. And then all of that text stuff, it just slams right on top of the point. So, you could move those off to the side a little bit to help you see things better. It's up, and that's just cosmetics. That's entirely up to you as to, and those you can even, delete them or put them all collectively on a different layer and freeze that layer. You know, this is just a good way for you to keep track of what that point is. That was, and again, if you go back to your, um, we'll go ahead and position that wherever you want it.
This is so the point. This actually isn't connected to the point, is it?
No, it's just a piece of
It's just
text.
text.
Yeah. So press escape and go, well, go ahead and put it where you want it. Yeah. Yeah. Like that kind of stuff. And you don't really have any control over that as to where it places it. It just slams it on top of the point. So you see it when and if you select a piece of text again, you see the little grip that shows up.
Yeah.
Just select the text. Yeah. See that grip in the middle top?
Yeah. Right.
Look over the properties and you see where it says, see, it's a piece of text. and you see it has the justify says top center. So that's what it does. It creates text, and the justification point
I'm not seeing that. Where does it say justify top center?
right over here.
Okay, yep,
So what that means is it creates a piece of text, it sets its justification to top center of the text, and then it inserts it at that point right over top of the point. Okay, so but then it can be freely moved. Now, press escape to clear your selection and go back up to your centerline menu and choose that command again like you're going to enter another one. And that's controlled right up here. When you say label it, then that's what creates that text and puts it there. If you don't want that to generate text into your drawing, you would uncheck that. If
okay,
or yeah, you can also even not draw these into the drawing. You could just say store the point and it goes to the CRD file. Or you could just say draw the point node itself only, but you know, you're going to generally want to keep that. Then this other box that we unchecked was to include the station and offset in the description. And that's why it put that green text in. So that would actually put the station and offset values into the description of the point itself.
right,
So again, that, you know, you may not want to have that on there or keep it there. So when you list your points, you can see what they are. Entirely your choice, but that's how that is controlled. And the other thing that we didn't talk about, see this reference elevation? You can actually give it, you know, if it's referenced to a separate 3D polyline, like the actual ground center of a roadway or something, it can
right,
read the roadway, what the elevation is at that point, and then when you set the offset, it inherits that elevation into the point. But of course,
okay,
you're not tracking elevation. So
right,
anyway, that's it.
okay.
Was that
Do you think we need to create a centerline file for that other centerline?
well, you certainly can. It wouldn't hurt. That way you if you have any station and offsets from it, you can compute it.
Okay, why don't we do that real quick?
Okay, do you have it drawn already?
Yeah, it's right there.
Okay, and that is at right coordinates and everything's good to go.
Yeah.
All right,
Wait
and
a minute,
that
let me join. It's not joined.
okay. All right, now when you select that again, you see right in here, you've got a you've got an independent I'm trying to let me see. Yeah. Hang on a second. Yeah, see this right here? Shit. Hold on. Let me do this again. Yeah, right here, you've got a separate tangent piece that's separate from this tangent. It might be collinear. Like I think maybe all you did was to put that point smack on that right there.
Right.
So what you could actually take that point out of this geometry, and so it goes from wherever it starts straight up to here where it starts the PC.
Yeah.
And um, that's what I would do is I because right now when you create that as a centerline file, it makes a tangent, it makes another tangent, and then it goes on. But now if you when you drew this, did did you
Oh, that's interesting. That's where the two center lines intersect.
correct? That's what I'm saying is that point is just it's on that line. Um, presumably. So if I go up here, let's show my let's do my shoot, hold on a second. Uh, polyline. I don't need the direction. I need a polyline data. All right. So when I hover over this, you see that I'm looking for the bearing. Let's see, total distance. Huh. Let me see here. Slope, total distance. Where's my bearing? Let me see. There's my polyline data. Oh, angle distance I want to get as well. All right, so right there, it's south 66, 28, 51 east, and this is 66, 28, 50, 68, 28, 51. So there's a point of non-tangency right there because there's a 1 second deflection. See, that segment is at 50 seconds. This
Yeah,
segment here is at 51 seconds. So
right.
so if we were to take this as an alignment and get rid of this point, it's going to kick that, one side or the other to make that go from this start point here to that point over there.
Okay.
In fact, what is that point number? That's 501. What's this? 505. So if you inverse 505 to 501, you see that?
It's on an azimuth. I hate that. Is there some way to change that in a default so that it doesn't come up as an azimuth?
Yep. Carlson configure. Survey settings should be no. Prompt, that's for that. I thought it was in there. Let me see. It
I know
wouldn't be.
you can hit O, but I forget to do it, and then I have to. I mean, I just almost never use azimuths.
All right. So if I do an inverse and I look at my options
Yeah,
right here,
yeah.
angle,
You click that, but the next time you come back for you open another file, or even come back to this file, it'll be in azimuths again. Actually, I'm not sure if you come back to this file. It might be.
yeah. So that says 66, 28, 51. Whereas when we hover over it, it is 66, 28, 51 for the first one, but then this next one is slightly at 50.
So
So
just remove that polyline, both of those polylines, and create
remove the
another.
polyline, I would just remove that point right there. Not that point number, but just this point out. See that remove vertex?
Yeah, okay.
That pulls that out. Now, if you do that, which we've done, let me turn this inspector off. Uh, so when we do that now, you see five, what is that point number? It looks like
There are
five.
2 points there actually.
There's 500 and then there's
The 506.
six. So 500 is 3054907 and 506. It looks like it's exactly the same coordinates.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so now if that point though, if I create another point, I'm just going to do an ID. I'm not going to create the point. But if I D the point that is at the intersection of these two lines here, uh, you see that gives an XY 305. Well, it's too close to see. If I were to connect, actually, let's see. Yeah, if I were to actually create the point where those two intersect, then you would see its coordinates are going to be slightly different from the 500 and the 506. So, I don't know how you created this line here.
I just put those points in from the information given on the plans. They give coordinates for all of those points,
Ah,
and
okay.
then just created a 2D polyline.
Yeah, so what happened with that is that there's a little bit of round off based on those coordinate values, and that's why that point was slightly kinked. So I would actually move those 2 points to be right on the intersection because this alignment goes from the start up to the PC. It doesn't stop along the way. Okay, that just is a incidental point where they cross.
I don't actually, why don't I just turn those 2 points off?
You certainly could. And now you could also then, if you wanted to locate a point at that intersection,
I don't know that I do. I just entered that from a coordinate point of view. I might go back and
okay,
do some checking on it
yeah,
after I
yeah, yeah. So
enumerate that.
I would just keep that in mind. And probably what I would do, since that was the intent of it, is I would just move that point 500 or 506. I would move it to be right on that intersection um, point. It's just basically it's a checkpoint. It's not used for anything there. But yeah, that's your geometry. Now, so if we want to now turn this into a centerline file, we'll do that. And it's going to read that polyline and establish that centerline definition based on that polyline.
Okay.
So go ahead and go to your centerline menu, and it's going to be
On the center line file.
correct. Uh-huh. And give it a name
Let's see, what did they call that?
at
Uh,
21.
let me see what they call that thing. Ripon Commons and save.
Uh-huh. And now read your prompts. Select the polyline and see the line above. It said it should have been drawn in the direction of increasing stations. And it was, so that's fine. So when you select it, you'll see the little markers that temporarily show you which direction. Just go ahead and pick it. See, that shows you the direction. And let's say it were not drawn in the right direction. You see down at the bottom that one of your options is to reverse it.
Right.
Okay, now the first thing it's asking you for is the beginning station. So down there at the either at the top or go up there and find out what that station value was, 523113 it looks like.
Yeah.
So just type that in 521 or 5231.13. Okay. All right, press enter to finish. And now when you double click that line, it's now a centerline file. So it's going to bring up the editor. And there it is.
Oh,
And
how
if
come it didn't include the curve.
yeah, it's there. Click on the next line down where it says curve
Oh, okay. Okay, I got you.
and double click that line or select it. Well, that's the line. If you go back, click cancel. Now double sit on the curve. Now you either double click that or hit the edit button, and that brings up all the information about the curve. You see, you got the radius, you're holding the PIs, you've got whether it's tangent to previous segment somewhere. Oh yeah, up at the top left, it says tangential to previous element. So
Right.
that sets all of that kind of stuff up. And it gives you all the bearing in and out and that kind of stuff. Okay. Now keep in mind, any edits that you make inside this file, if you change a distance or a radius or something, when you save and exit, it's going to redraw it in the drawing.
Okay.
All right. And that is control. Go ahead and hit exit. We're not going to make any changes. But that part is, and the same thing, if I were to select this line and move this point or the other point or whatever, it's going to update the centerline file automatically. And that's controlled right up here in your cross and configure general settings.
Okay.
Over here where it says link line work with center lines. That back and forth establishes that. Now, let's say you wanted to change that and you didn't want it to be linked anymore. If you go up there and uncheck that box, it doesn't have any effect on what was already created when it was linked. You would have to erase it or you don't just necessarily erase the line, you just get rid of a centerline file or overwrite it.
Right.
Um, so the behavior happens based on what these are set at. And this goes for any of these lengths. The behavior that happens out here in the geometry is based on what these are set at the time the geometry was created. And
Right.
so if you go and change this here, it doesn't unset that for that. You'd have to do it over.
Okay.
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 I got you.
Yes, sir.
All righty. Well, we learned a little bit about spirals and all that. We learned enough to leave it to the geeks at the DOH and wait and see if they look at their shoes or your shoes and
Right.
you're good to go. All right, sir. Let's see. What else was there? I had a thought once upon a time. Oh, I was talking about, you said DOH has districts. And I think Virginia, the VDOT, don't they go by county?
I think so.
I
I
think
don't,
so.
I haven't done enough work in Virginia to really know that for sure, but I think they do go by county.
Yeah, because if I recall, at least when I was a kid growing up, one of my good school friends lived near me. His dad was the resident engineer, they called the guy, and we
Yeah.
had a residency office right there in our town. We were the town or the county seat of Tazewell County in a little town called, we have 4,000 people in our town, not big enough to warrant putting a district office in generally, except for the fact that we were the county seat and they based it on the counties.
Well, DOH has an office in each county, but it's not the district office.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, but I think VDOT, they may also have districts too, come to think about it. I'm thinking about when I worked for Anderson up in Blacksburg. I'm trying to remember because we did everything through Salem, uh, near Roanoke. I think that was the district headquarters. So I think maybe they do that same thing, but they have a resident office and it's actually a constructed building with staff and all that. And another quick little funny story. The Another kid that I graduated with, he and his wife both. And when I was back after college and working for a while, and I came back as the county planner and I lived in the hometown, and my kids were little, and Chris was just barely talking, and uh, but Philip's wife Nancy, Philip's dead now. He died a few years ago, but anyway, Philip's wife Nancy was babysitting in her home. You could bring your kids by, she had a little daycare. So the kids always stayed there at Nancy and Philip's house, and we'd go pick them up after school. And so, like after the first couple of days, I was asking Chris, like I said, he's just barely talking. And now Philip drove a truck for the highway department for VDOT. He drove like the salt truck and the plows and all that kind of stuff. And so we picked the kids up and I told them, "Hey, did you like Nancy? Did you like me?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And says, "And did you meet her husband?" He said, "Yeah, Philip came home before you picked us up." And I said, yeah, and what does Philip do? And I knew, what he did. And he goes, he drives a damn old state truck. So, so Philip would come home and she would ask him how his day went. He said, "Oh, that damn old state truck wouldn't start or whatever it was." So, so Chris thought that was his job, was to drive a damn old state truck. So, anyway, that's it. So, yep. Anything else you need on that, or
No, not unless I get stuck at some point computing one of these and have to call back for help.
okie doke? Well, now, and just real quick on these center line, that was where you entered that offset point entry, but
Yeah,
you can also do these calculations, in which case uh, you could give it a, station, let's see, define center line. So if you defined the center line by, say, a center line file, then you would report offsets ahead and behind the center line, you can label it in the drawing. You can report the point coordinates. You can, round these things off, left and right prefixes, store the station text to the coordinate file as, none of that necessarily, grade information. So that basically is going to, if you choose that, you see now it's going to prompt you. Well, let's get our point here. It says pick a point or point numbers. So this is where you're not entering points. You're just looking at what these points are. So if I wanted to see what is that point right there, see that endpoint? So
yeah,
point 215 would be station 54 plus 19, at that offset, right?
right,
And but now you can also, says pick a point or point number. So if I just typed 214, see, it shows me what 214 is, and that's up here. Now look at
right.
the numbers in a little box. So that should be the same.
Where did you pull that box from?
All right, so if I enter to end, that was this.
Oh, wait a minute, it came up on it's on the other screen there. Okay,
Okay, so it's under center line, and that is to compute, or see, entry, that's where you entered the point.
right.
Calculate offsets was what I did there. And that
Okay,
comes up here. And then if I, this is just a report, but if you actually, wanted to store it in the file and, um, create point notes, label the station and offset. So if you do that, for instance, you can, uh,
yeah,
put
no,
that,
I wouldn't want to do that. I don't think.
yeah. So, but again, all it's going to do is, now I'm on the big alignment here now. So if I want to look at, let's see that, station 510, for instance,
Mhm.
0.510. You see that's the same, no, it enter. And all it does is it drops a piece of text right here. I'll close off on the other screen.
Yeah,
So all that does is it takes this, it just drops a piece of text here, and you see that's the same text from
right,
where you did the calculation. So it's any point, but it's already drawn in the drawing. You can either snap to geometry, or you can give it a point number, or just pick a point in space, and it shows you what that station and offset is. Okay, so that's the difference there, is one's to enter and one's to calculate. And
right,
this label is much like this calculate with the label option turned on, but all it does is drops a label in the drawing. Okay.
right.
So that's basically it.
Okay, well, thank you, sir.
You are very welcome.
I may holler at you if I stumble.
Well, we're always glad to serve. All right, I'm going to stop stop the sharing. I also stopped my remote control, which is what I was actually going for. And with that, we'll stop the recording.